What if Tangled isn't the sweet fairy tale you think? The story Disney told you, glowing lanterns, funny thieves, a happy ending, hides something much darker. The real story, written centuries ago by the Brothers Grimm, begins not with magic or music, but with hunger, obsession, and a curse that would shape a girl's entire life. In a small cottage by a deep forest, a pregnant woman stared out her window every night, craving a strange plant she saw in the witch's forbidden garden. It was called Rapunzel, green, delicate, shining faintly in the moonlight. Her craving grew until she could think of nothing else. Desperate to help, her husband climbed the garden wall one night and stole a handful of leaves. But as he turned to flee, he heard a voice, cold and sharp. "How dare you steal from me?" hissed Mother Gothel, the witch of the woods. Trembling, he begged for mercy. The witch agreed to spare him, but only on one condition. "When your child is born, she will belong to me." The woman wept, but when the baby came, Gothel appeared at their door. She named the child Rapunzel and carried her away before sunrise. Gothel locked the girl in a high stone tower. No stairs, no doors, only a single narrow window. The tower stood deep in the forest where no one could ever find her. Every day, Gothel would stand below and call, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." And from the window would fall a golden braid long enough for the witch to climb. Years passed. Rapunzel grew into a beautiful young girl with hair that shimmered like sunlight. Her days were silent, no laughter, no company, only the wind whispering through the tower. One afternoon, while Rapunzel sang to the birds, her song carried through the forest. A wandering prince stopped to listen, enchanted by the voice. He followed the sound until he found the hidden tower. He watched as the witch climbed up, using the golden braid as a ladder. When she was gone, he called softly, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Curious and lonely, Rapunzel obeyed, and for the first time saw another face. The prince climbed into her world, and for days he returned again and again. They talked, they laughed, and slowly, secretly, they fell in love. But love in fairy tales always has a price. When Rapunzel turned 12, she began to notice her body changing. One morning, Gothel saw her, placed a hand on her belly, and froze. Betrayal. Rage filled the tower like a storm. That night, Gothel took Rapunzel's golden hair, cut it off in one savage motion, and screamed, "You will never see him again." She banished Rapunzel into a barren desert, miles of burning sand and empty skies. When the prince returned to the tower, Gothel was waiting. She let down the severed braid, laughing cruelly as he climbed. When he reached the top and found no Rapunzel, he fell from the window, landing among the thorns below. The thorns pierced his eyes, and he wandered the forest blind. Meanwhile, Rapunzel wandered alone in the desert, hungry and heartbroken. There she gave birth to twins, two tiny souls born from sorrow and survival. The years passed slowly. The sun burned by day, the wind howled by night. She learned to survive, her songs growing softer, her hope fading with every sunset. But far away, the prince, off blind, bleeding, desperate, followed the sound of a familiar voice carried by the wind. When he finally found her, he reached for her face, whispering her name. Her tears fell onto his eyes, and when he opened them again, he could see. They wept together, a broken fairy tale finally reuniting its lost pieces. They returned to his kingdom. Rapunzel wore a crown, but she was not the same. Disney erased all of this. No pregnancy, no exile, no blindness. Just magic hair, lanterns, and songs. But the Grimm version wasn't just horror, it was a warning. A story about innocence, temptation, and control. Some say the Grimm brothers wrote it as propaganda, a message to young girls. Obey your parents, fear desire, stay pure. A fairy tale rewritten to keep children silent and women ashamed. And Rapunzel wasn't the only one. Snow White was poisoned by envy. Sleeping Beauty violated in her sleep. The Little Mermaid traded her voice for love and died heartbroken when he married another. These aren't bedtime stories. They're warnings, old lessons wrapped in pretty lies. Now you know Tangled's real secret. But what if every princess story hides something even worse? Drop your creepiest Disney theory in the comments and follow for the real stories behind childhood legends.